99-cent rental.
This is 99 Cent Rental. I'm your host, Brian White, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Dave White. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Oh, hello. Well, we are just a few days out from what could be the end of democracy in the United States, and I am barely holding it together. I try not to pay attention to the news anymore, and yet it just creeps in. It finds its way into my life.
It's yeah, I've been doing the same thing. I'm trying not to watch the polls because the polls ain't shit. They're all over the place, and
Yeah, that's the point.
I don't know. I've seen some that are rather hopeful, but again, I've seen some that are also not good. Really not good. And it's making me very, very, very anxious in a way that's not good for me. So I'm just gonna wait for my time in the ballot box, and then
we were in Burlington this weekend, and it was probably the first time I've watched like television proper, like network television, in a very long time.
Oh, were you in like a hotel room?
Yeah, and we put on HGTV, like normal self-respecting middle-aged homosexuals.
I watched Food Network when I'm in a hotel room.
And I saw what was like the first proper political ad that I've seen probably in, I'm going to say, quite a long time, at least a year. And it was a Donald Trump ad, which I thought, what an odd place to be advertising for Donald Trump in Burlington, Vermont. Because if you were like, hey, what's the most liberal place in the world? I would say Somerville, Massachusetts. But after that, I would say Burlington, Vermont.
Oh, Bernie Sanders country?
And this ad was insane. It was a bunch of older women, probably in their like, it was like mid 60s, late 60s, sitting around a table at like a diner or something. And they were like, look, I'm just going to do the accents, and I apologize in advance, everybody, but they were like, oh, I really want to vote for Kamala, but I feel like she's not really here supporting the Jews. She's too busy supporting the squad. And one of them goes, oy vey.
Oh, no.
And I was
no.
Jesus fucking Christ.
God.
This cannot be real. It was like Mel Brooks directed this thing. It was insane.
I went to the tenor of this election season is like something out of a fucking Thomas Pynchon novel. There's I went to Lowe's today, and I pull in, and there is at the far end of the lot, there is this massive fucking truck, and I don't mean like a Super Duty or anything like that. It is like a large, humongous military truck that has been like manually spray painted in like forest camo, and there is like a Browning machine gun mounted to the top with like those steel shields, like a fucking Humvee in Afghanistan. And on the front,
like a reasonable person's car.
On the front of it is a huge, cartoonishly massive plow that is spray painted blue with the word Trump across it in white. And I'm just like, everything's just cool and normal in New Hampshire. We're just doing so well out here. Everybody is totally not insane.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, people are using this. People use shit like this all the time. It's either, before it was Trump, it was guns, and then a pro-life, whatever the bullshit it is. It's always this way of like aggressively asserting their position in an effort to kind of bait you, which is like, what a weird, exhausting way to be in the world.
I know. I couldn't imagine. Like, I think about it from time to time, and I'm gonna get to we'll get to the fucking podcast in a second. I just got to get this shit off my chest. But it is really, really strange to me. Like, I try to kind of imagine what sort of a person lives their life day to day, where everything they do is a sort of posture or a flex to piss somebody else off. Because that seems to be what's at the heart of MAGA, is like, I saw a meme about pronouns on Facebook and it made me feel weird. Or I saw some gay people holding hands and I didn't know what to do about that. And so I have to like this is how I compensate emotionally. And I can't, it's psychotic is what it is. Like when I worked in that hospital, that psychiatric hospital, like this was the sort of shit that the patients with psychotic diagnoses this is how they behaved. Now it's just fucking everywhere.
It's like it's the reaction of a deeply, deeply insecure person who, because you don't see secure people reacting that way. They just think, oh, that's not my shit. So whatever, I don't care. You know, like most normal people, they'd just be like, oh, all right, whatever. You know,
Yeah.
you want to change your pronouns, change your fucking pronouns. Whatever's making you happy, do that shit because it doesn't matter to me. One way or the other. And they, of course, it does because they're super insecure in their own position and they feel like such victims of society and they want to blame somebody, but it's too hard to do the work to figure out what's actually happening or what reality is. So they just sort of grasp on to the easiest thing, and that is, you know, authoritarianism, I guess. I was thinking about like what do I want to say, because it's so easy to feel powerless. I think that's what the fatigue I think comes from that feeling of powerlessness. And I was like, what the fuck would I want to say? Like I don't know. I'm just like kind of like a passable writer and a mediocre communicator. I was like, but I feel like I should say something because, you know, I realize there are a lot of people out there that they feel like they can't bring themselves to vote for Kamala Harris. And for whatever reason, I think some of them are understandable and respectable positions. I think some of them are less so. But I'm going to say, if you're one of those people, I would just urge everybody to go and talk to the people in your life, not the people online and on fucking social media.
No, get the fuck away from the internet.
Yeah.
Talk to real people who are going to be affected by this.
And just ask what their fears are, what their anxieties are. Just listen to what other people around, the people you trust, your neighbors, your friends, whoever, your family, and listen to them. And I think if after that, if you're still feeling like you just can't bring yourself to do it, there are still plenty of down ballot races that are super important. There's plenty of ballot questions that are needing your attention. So I think there's absolutely no excuse to not vote. If you know whether or not you want to vote or you feel like you can for president, then that's up to you, I guess. But to ignore the whole thing is sort of unconscionable. And I know like the ballot questions can be really confusing sometimes, like the fucking stupid way they're written.
Bring your fucking phone and look it up. There's plain English explanations of what those questions mean.
Yeah, or just check, look up who the fucking, the down ballot stuff. Sometimes you get into the weeds with that, and it's like, I don't know who I want the treasurer to be, but you can look all this shit up. And if you're not sure, Vote Save America, I think it's votesaveamerica.com. They've got a lot of like state by state resources that are really good. So I really urge everyone to, at the very least, go vote in down ballot stuff. But I would really hope people would reconsider a position because the stakes are super high for a lot of people, and we don't want to wake up like we did in 2016 and feel betrayed and feel very, very confused. So with that in mind, I mean, that's all I wanted to say. It's been a tough fucking year. It has been a tough couple months, and it's going to end one way or another in the next couple days, the next week or so, and we're still going to be here. We still got to keep living our lives. So we're going to just keep talking about dumbass fucking movies.
Yeah, and boy, have we got a dumb one for you tonight. Just a little balm on the psyche.
Yeah, thank God.
Some real idiot medicine for you tonight.
Yeah.
Because
just tune it out.
Hopefully by the next Bring Me the Axe, we'll have something to celebrate. Presumably that motherfucker will have a stroke or something. Anyway, oh boy, fun shit, right? Here we go. It's hard to explain to someone who never had the experience what
hard transition, hard cut.
What a trip to the video store was like back in the day. The shelves were choked with absolutely bizarre crap made on tiny budgets, completely divorced from any recognizable reality. Holy shit, like this one. It was the best. We intend to talk about every one of them. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. You want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod. Dave's over there at That Queerwolf. I encourage you to follow us. We're fun. Yeah, we have a good time. I'm also on TikTok doing them dances.
Yep, dude, the Running Man.
The Cabbage Patch.
Yep. God, I can't believe I didn't. That wasn't my first.
Oh, I know. It seems so obvious, doesn't it? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Look us up by name over there. And if you don't know, we have another show called Bring Me the Axe. Our latest episode covering Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, is out now with two wonderful guests, our good friends Johnny and Eileen from Week Horror. And we'll be back next with a good look at the pre-code classic, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'm looking forward to that one. I really love doing these pre-code ones.
I've been trying to find good. There's obviously there's fuckloads of pre-code movies, but like really interesting ones. I don't know. They're tough to come by. So if anybody's got recommendations, please send them over.
Oh yeah. We've got a couple of listener requests that I want to get on the schedule for next year. So yeah, if you got like some pre-code shit that you want us to talk about, definitely drop a line because that stuff is fascinating as hell. It's a very interesting period of film that I love talking about. You can also contact us directly at 99centrentalpod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a cheesy movie that you love and would like to hear us give it the business. And if you would like to support us on Patreon, you can look us up over there at patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. There's a couple of tiers you can join there. Subscribers at the $5 a month tier can look forward to our bi-weekly X-Files rewatch pod. Do you think I'm spooky? Our first 2 episodes launched now. You can get up there and listen to them. I think they're pretty good. We got 2 more coming up.
You can listen to the first one for free, right?
Yeah, the first one is free. It's always free. That's how you get them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's true. That's how they sell drugs to children too in the 80s.
So you get.
Here's a PSA on the Patreon tip. Apparently, if you sign up for shit through Apple Podcasts for Patreon, they're like charging a 30% fucking surcharge for what I don't know.
I know. If you sign up for our Patreon, do not use your phone. Just do it in a web browser on your desktop or whatever. Like that's otherwise.
Or like you can get the Patreon app. It's not that great to be honest.
No. The Patreon app is also getting hit.
Really?
Yes. They sent me an email that was like, hey, just so you guys know, this is about to happen. So yes, don't use your iPhone to sign up for the Patreon if you do it.
God, it's like 2005.
I know.
You got to get back on that desktop, y'all.
Yep. Once again, that's patreon.com/bringmetheaxepod. And lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We're on YouTube now. Search us by name. Subscribe if you prefer to consume your podcast that way. I know some of you do. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor. Give the episode a like and leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. I just want to get that all out of the way because I'm about to run a trailer for a movie that is fucking crazy.
So good.
Holy shit.
First, he demolished the supreme player in the most brutal sport in the world. Then, he crushed the competition in a contest nobody plays for kicks. Now,
what's the problem?
He faces a new challenge, only this time there are no rules. And nobody's playing games.
Detective Burke, we want to send you undercover into Harrison as a prisoner.
Van Damme is Burke.
You're not going to last too long. It's not a threat. It's a promise.
He's got the toughest job a cop can do.
Prisoners hate cops more than anything else. It's a hit list. You're a dead man.
His cover has been blown.
What are you doing in my prison?
Batman! It's too late.
You dead, I said!
Your number's next on the list.
And the odds are impossible.
Welcome to hell!
Van Damme, he loves a good fight. Death Warrant.
Is this the dumbest movie I've ever seen?
No, it's up there, but
It's up there.
Oh, it is high on the list. Holy shit. This movie, first of all, what a trailer. What a fucking trailer.
Just dudes punching other dudes.
Yep. Secondly, that trailer basically shows you the entire movie in order.
Yep.
It even shows the bad guy getting killed. Oh my God.
So the reason a friend of ours, we've recently been going through together a Jean-Claude Van Damme, so like a late 80s, early 90s action movie kick.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to
And-
kind of get into this because this is a very interesting transitional period for action movies, but exploitation in particular.
Yeah. And so we watched this one, I would say like 6 or 7 months ago. And like, I think we were halfway through it before I texted you and was like, nope, it's going on the schedule.
Oh yeah,
right
yeah. I
now.
remember when you got to me, and I was like, the Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I laughed so fucking hard when I was watching that movie. And I watched it again this time and I laughed just about as much because it is so stupid.
It is the most idiotic movie that I've watched all year, and I'm gonna say it right now. I love this movie.
Yeah, it is super fun and stupid.
Yeah. Not a lot of trivia like the usual deep dive shit we do. Not much to talk about in that respect. Just some kind of high level stuff that I want to talk about in terms of like canon and the way that kind of action movies were transforming at this period. But like overall, this is just, I wish they still made movies like this that were like, because they still do.
I mean, they kind of do, but they don't have the same vibe.
That's what I was going to say is every now and then you get one where it's very tongue in cheek. They're doing it specifically to kind of capture this vibe, but they're doing it knowingly. Whereas this movie was made.
Yeah, it's too self-aware.
This movie was made completely in earnest to meet a sort of market demand. And it's just moron bait from start to finish, but it's good because of that. Like there's also so much racism, so much sexism,
boy.
so much everything. You know what? The one thing that I was really surprised is really kind of void of. There's not a lot of like prison rape shit in it. Cause like
there's not, but I'm going to tell you because I think the guy, I can't remember the guy who wrote it. He's pretty famous. Dude.
David Goyer wrote this.
Yeah.
This was his second script, his first one sold.
Right. And he's 22 years old when he writes it. Obviously, this is coming from the mind of a 22-year-old. He did like the basic amount of research on what prison culture is like, but he did not go very far because it like checks every fucking box. It does not, it's just skin deep.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
bone-shakingly
all of
thin.
the research he did for like what's it like to go to jail was he watched other action movies that take place in prisons. Like maybe he has a passing familiarity with the penitentiary movies.
Yeah, it's a weird this era is so strange because it's like it's that like coming off the transition between that like Chuck Norris kind of good old fashioned Reagan era masculinity, rah America bullshit.
Yeah, because what's happening is this movie. So let's just get into it. This movie comes out in 1990, and what is happening at this time is there are two clear winners in the sort of action movie arms race of the 80s, Schwarzenegger and Stallone, and both of them have kind of priced themselves out of this class of movie. Like that's how they came in, was like First Blood, even Rambo is a reasonably low budget action movie, but by the end of the 80s, like they're starting to kind of broaden their appeal. They're appearing in comedies. They're trying to sort of do like a little bit more like PG-13 rated fare to really kind of like broaden the box office, but also it costs them a fucking arm and a leg. Any producer who wants to book them for a movie needs to get like at least double-digit millions to get them. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that like Canon paid way too much for Stallone when they did, I think, Over the Top. And it kind of set this weird precedent.
That's the one that kind of started them down the wrong path.
Right. And that is actually one of the things like that completely screws them over. Like all of a sudden they're paying like the bills for that one off the back of Superman 4 and shit, which just ultimately breaks them completely. But Stallone and Schwarzenegger are no longer available to like the little guys. And so these little guys are out there now looking for like the next wave of action stars. And they find them in primarily JCVD.
Yeah.
Steven Seagal is the other guy, but like he very quickly makes himself way too fucking obnoxious for anybody's good. There's a really great like 3-part Dollop podcast series about him that is equal parts hilarious and horrifying.
He seems like one of the most insufferable people that has ever. He's like Elon Musk levels of really awful, awful people.
Oh yeah, and he's a sex criminal. But
yeah. Well, I think it's also worth saying that we're also coming out of the 80s too, and so the kind of like USSR
Cold
War era stuff doesn't really work anymore.
Right, the
'cause
Cold
it's a
War tenor
different
is no
generation.
longer there, and so they
'cause
get
I will tell you what. For anybody who wasn't there, if you were a boy in 1990, there was fucking nobody cooler than Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, he is a sack of shit, and this much I know that today. But back then, goddamn, was he the coolest guy?
Oh my god, he was a major hit. Like, and this movie is really, we're coming off the back of 3 movies that really kind of thrust him forward. We got Bloodsport, which is also
That's a good one.
great one. There's Kickboxer, not quite as
Less good,
but still quite entertaining. And then there's Cyborg, which is completely incomprehensible,
So good.
but also great. Everybody's named after a guitar. But this moment here is like JCVD, his acting chops are upgraded a little bit. The movies that he's getting into have a little bit more money because like everything prior, like particularly when you're working with Albert Pune, have a tendency to look really cheap. Mm-hmm. This actually looks like there's some money behind it. There's like real locations and stuff like that. It's not shot in the fucking Philippines. It's like,
and his shit goes real fast because it's like he kind of ramps up quickly, and then there's like Time Cop, and then this precipitous fall.
Well, yeah, actually, he coasts and like rides real high in the 90s because there's like, I mean, Time Cop, I think, is really kind of the peak because I believe after this, after this, they release
Universal Soldier is
Universal Soldier is the big hit that really kind of puts him into the fore and makes him like a real viable like 90s action star. Seagal is kind of running out of gas by that point. They've got other people that they keep trying to kind of bring into the sides. Brian Bosworth stars in a couple of action movies that
please call him the
Boz that we really ought to get to at some point because like Stone Cold is a crazy fucking movie, but like
wasn't he also a baseball player? Wasn't that his actual
he was a football player.
Footballer.
Yeah. But like, you know, he wasn't terribly sustainable. His movies didn't do very well. There was a character named Jeff Speakman that they tried to kind of sneak in. I looked him up because I remember his movie was called The Perfect Weapon. It's the
and you're getting into some real direct-to-video
I'm getting
shit.
into the weeds. That was the theatrically released one. The other really unfortunate one, the one that was really tragic because like he was also a major like a prospect for a 90s action hero, was Brandon Lee.
Yeah, and his father was one of the coolest people.
Motherfucker was the best, yeah. But like Brandon Lee was poised to really take over, and then of course, you know, tragedy on the set of The Crow, and you know that kind of put an end to that. So the playing field in the 90s, once the dust settles, it's really just Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, because we've got until 97. Action movies are the shit in Hollywood. Like, that's all anybody wanted. Until we start to get to period dramas, like a little bit later. Mm-hmm. And, like, the whole industry shifts a little bit. And then you get, like, the resurgence of horror and teen movies and shit like that. But, like, action movies were fucking huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And they get bigger and louder and more colorful. Like, and again, JCVD is in most of them. Like there's fucking Knockoff, there's Double Team, there's I can't remember what maybe Knockoff was the one with Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, that one's real bad.
Yeah, that because Rob Schneider's also in that one. But unfortunately, that one's directed by Choi Hark, who fucking rules.
There was the one.
Hard Target, the one that John Woo directed. Fucking
yes, that movie.
Fucking amazing.
So isn't that just a remake though? Didn't he already make a movie called Hard Target?
No.
That's not. What's the one I'm thinking of that he did? He remade one for U.S. markets too.
Well, he just recently remade The Killer, but I don't think he remade any of his movies in the 90s. No, I'm gonna kind of leave that. But good God, so much to fucking talk about in that area. Because also, this is, You would ask me, and I think I told you no, but you were right about this. This was the last official Canon production. There were still some movies that I believe Canon distributed like a little well into the 90s, because like I think part of the way that they were broken up and kind of liquidated was their distribution arm went to Path, I think, in France.
Yes.
And so they continued to distribute under the name Canon for a little while before I think they just sold the title off entirely and the entire thing was dissolved. But this was, I believe, the last actual Canon production that died mid-production, and MGM.
Yeah, that's why it went to MGM.
Yeah.
It also explains why there's not a lot for an action movie. There are very few like set piece scenes. There's very, very little kind of big special effects in this movie. It's mostly just martial arts and like a couple of explosions. And it's because I'm guessing they started out with what they expected to be a much larger budget, and probably very early in they were like, no, you can't have that.
Well, yeah, because I think what ends
up
happening is like Golan and Globus were out by this point. They were off in their own worlds doing entirely new things. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But I think what ends up happening is the company completely fails in the middle of the production. MGM probably picks up all of the assets essentially through like liquidation. And so they essentially get like a free movie that is like mostly finished when they get this. And not free, but like they probably...
Oh, cheap as shit. This movie had a $6 million budget.
Yeah. And so like they're just like, shit, we'll just throw like another $1 million at this and get it finished and like throw it out to theaters. And it did really well. I forgot to look up what kind of box
46 million.
My God, what a fucking
that's global. That's the whole shebang, but that's still
that's a lot of money on a $6 million budget. Like that's crazy. That is officially like I think the way that it works is like 3 times budget is considered like a success. And so like that.
And again, everybody, this movie is exceedingly stupid.
Dumb as hell. The dumbest shit.
Wait till we get to the reviews because they're hilarious.
So let's talk about some other movies that were released in the year 1990. It's not looking good for good movies. Troll 2 was released in 1990.
Oh,
yep, Claudio Fragasso joint. Oh boy. Also now
it's bologna sandwich.
Oh no. Now speaking of Golan and Globus, Lambada was released.
Ooh,
now
you mean the Forbidden
No.
Dance.
The Forbidden Dance was the other Lambada movie. So I can't remember which one. Yoram Globus, I think is.
Are you thinking of Salsa?
No.
Because
so Menahem Golan made a movie called Lambada. So when they were still canon, they were poised to make a movie called Lambada, and they were both convinced that they had the next break-in on their hands with this movie. And it's just some sexy Brazilian dance they saw in some fucking club. And they were like, holy shit, Americans are going to fucking love this. And then the company breaks...
They didn't love it.
No, and then the company breaks up, and so I believe one of them makes the movie Lambada, and the other one makes the movie The Forbidden Dance, which is about the Lambada dance. And they both...
Which one has Richard Grieco in it?
I don't know. I did not look at it that closely. But they're both racing to get them finished on time so that one can beat the other to box office. They both finish at the same time. They both get the movies into the box office at the same time on the same weekend. And so that's why
the Lambada, you have got 2 great nights ahead of you.
Let me tell you something that surprised the shit out of me. There are 4 movies about the Lambada.
My God. And this is all because of Dirty Dancing.
Yes, actually.
Yep.
Yes, 100%, because Vestron was a little tiny distribution company that financed a movie that was a runaway success. And so these guys...
Yeah, because it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And if anybody says otherwise, I will fight you in the street.
With a little bit of dance fighting. Yeah. So yeah, crazy shit going on over there at Golan Globus. If you want to know more about this, I've name checked it before. Mark Hartley's documentary Electric Boogaloo: The Wild Untold Story of Canon Films is available. Watch it. It's really, really entertaining.
It's super good.
Steve Railsback is in it, and he fucking hates these guys so fucking much.
I think probably a lot of people hate these guys. A lot of people who were owed a lot of money.
Yeah. So also in 1990, Bill Cosby's really, really fucking weird family comedy Ghost Dad came out, which is about a family who gets to keep on living with their dad because he dies and his ghost kind of haunts them.
Yeah, and that's how the family courts work.
Yes.
We saw that in the theater. It was a very.
I do
not a good
remember.
film.
I don't remember anything about it. I hope he didn't rape anybody on set.
He does not. In that family film, there is no one getting drugged and or raped that we know
That
of.
we know of. Oh, and also closing out the year, Captain America, the Albert Pune movie comes out. The really, really weird one where the Captain America suit has rubber ears on the outside for some reason.
Have you ever seen it?
It's terrible.
It's
so fucking bad. Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Remember the Fantastic Four movie they did? It was also really fucking terrible.
Corman's Fantastic Four?
Yeah, that one's real.
Well, the
we had
thing-
a bootleg of that.
Oh yeah. The thing with the Corman movie is it was never intended for release. They simply made it in order to hold on to the license so they could do it proper later on. They end up fucking losing it. But yeah. Let's see. Our director is a guy named Darren Sarafian, who was a ghost director on the White Kid Vigilante movie Young Warriors, which I believe.
It's on the schedule.
I believe we're
I
doing it
haven't
next
put
year.
it anywhere yet, but it's that movie is so fucking terrible.
Yep. He directed a bunch of movies that are mostly forgotten 80s and 90s, like exploitation.
He made Terminal Velocity.
Exploitation trash. But he seemed to find a lot of success working in television, directing episodes of Buffy, Lost, and that bizarre Netflix horror show Hemlock Grove.
that was on. Yeah, that was a terrible show. That was an Eli Roth show.
Was it? I don't really remember
Yeah, he
it.
created
I
it.
just remember being completely confused and occasionally impressed by how unique it was, but I do not
You're like,
remember the
but
story.
so they're vampires and werewolves.
That's right.
Or
that's right. Because
is one of them an abominable snowman?
right,
or
because one of them
something?
when they would transform, their flesh would rip and the wolf would come out from underneath it. I did like that. That
He
was
also
pretty cool.
he directed a shitload of episodes of that show House on Fox.
Yeah. He also did the Exorcist TV show, which is way better than you think it will be. It's a really good show. I recommend it. Yeah. Our cast, as we mentioned, the muscles from Brussels, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yep. He's getting billing over Robert Guillaume.
Yep. Before he was the most iconic action star of the 90s, JCVD was a Belgian karate champion and a dancer who moved to Hollywood with the usual dream. Early on, he shacked up with Cannon. He appears as an extra in Breakin', and he ultimately befriended Chuck Norris, who helped him make a proper inroads with producers. Before Kevin Peter Hall took over, JCVD was the guy in the Predator suit. You can see pictures of this. It's pretty silly. And then in the late 80s, he breaks through in a handful of Cannon pictures, like we said, Kickboxer and Bloodsport. This is ostensibly the picture that fully puts him over as the next generation of Hollywood action guys, coming hot on the heels of Cyborg, as we said. Magnetic screen presence. Humongous jerk.
Yeah,
Massive
seems like
jerk.
a real piece of shit.
One of our listeners was telling me that he met him in a really funny way where Van Damme mistook him for a valet, wanted him to park his car. So that's just the kind of guy he was. Also, big cocaine enthusiast, I'm told.
Yeah, I think later on became sort of outspoken about. I think he is diagnosed bipolar, and I don't want to minimize mental illness, and I'm not going to, but it seems like he used it kind of to justify a lot of bad behavior in the past.
Let me put it to you this way. This guy, well into the 90s, is still a box office earner. He was so fucking obnoxious that people were that producers were yeah, I think we're going to pass on Jean-Claude for this one. Which takes a lot. It takes a lot when you're still an earner for the industry to be yeah, maybe let's go with somebody else.
Yeah, and if you're hey, how much of a douchebag is Jean-Claude Van Damme? I'm going to tell you this. He is a big Trump supporter, and he genuinely believes, and has stated many times, that the Illuminati are trying to keep Donald Trump out of office. That is a thing this man believes to be true. Oh, he also beat his wife, so there's that part.
Folks, it's the globalists.
Yep.
It's
it's the globalists that made him abuse his wife.
God damn.
And by
that
globalists, he means Jews.
deep state is just everywhere.
Yeah.
Backing him up is Robert Guillaume, who played.
God damn
I
it.
know.
Robert Guillaume, what are you doing in this movie, man?
And you know what? He is taking it seriously. He's
great in it.
awesome, and he is magnetic. He is taking it seriously. He's doing a great job. He's like my favorite character in this whole movie, apart from Priest, who I cannot wait to talk about that dude.
Just hold on to Priest. Keep that. Just tuck it in the shirt pocket for him.
So, Robert Guillaume played Benson in one of the criminally underrated 80s sitcoms. Benson.
He was on. Wasn't Benson was a spin-off of Soap, wasn't it?
Yep. So, yeah.
Where like someone, the woman from Soap gets her husband becomes mayor or some shit.
Something like that.
I remember I
mayor.
loved Benson when I was a kid. I loved that show.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I loved the show or like I just loved Robert Guillaume.
He's funny as hell, man. He was like he was so beloved on Soap that they were like, he needs to get his own show. And he got
And that shit was on for like 9 years.
7 seasons of Benson. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Great
so,
show.
he's done a ton of voice work and animation and video games. His
Lion King.
Yep. He's Rafiki. Disney's The Lion King. Yep. We've also got Art LaFleur, one of the most recognizable that guys out there, appearing in a ton of.
I believe you mean bottom shelf Fred Ward.
Yes. Yeah. Appearing in a ton of 80s television. LaFleur becomes a regular side player in the Charles Band 80s projects like Trancers and Zone Troopers before stepping in.
He's in Cobra. He's in
in Cobra. That's right. Yeah.
He's Babe Ruth in The Sandlot.
Oh, that's fucking great. Yeah. I do say in my note, he says he's in that Bananas Stallone picture, Cobra. But there's also a lot of like side players in this that I noticed. I can't remember his name, but the guy who voiced Andrew Ryan in BioShock is in this.
He's the governor?
No, he's the evil German doctor.
Oh, it's the guy from Buffy.
Is he from Buffy?
He's the principal in Buffy.
Oh, that's right.
His name is
Shimmerman?
something. Armin Shimmerman.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he was the principal in Buffy.
Yep. We got Josh Miller.
Yeah, so this is our Joshua John Miller rock block. This is a double feature.
Is he?
Because he was also in Halloween 3.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He's the little kid.
Yep. Let's see. I can never remember the actor's name, but he's the guy who's like the dude who gets the hotel chain in Billy Madison at the end.
Oh, Larry Hankin.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a small part in this as well. Yeah, there's a lot of people in this that I was like, oh shit, it's that guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of really recognizable character actors.
Also, there's one in particular that I want to save for his big key moment because when that dude showed up, I was like, yes, there's no escape.
Oh, you know what we forgot to say? Jean-Claude Van Damme is the main influence on Mortal Kombat.
Right, Johnny Cage.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah. Yep. So, you want to just get into this?
Well, I'm going to talk to you about some reviews.
Oh shit! Yeah, I want to hear these reviews.
You would assume that this movie was very poorly reviewed, on account of how fucking stupid it is. And in a lot of ways it was. Not everybody loved it. A lot of people thought it was really stupid. But there are a couple of reviews that I thought were hilarious. The first one is Betsy Sherman, writing for the Boston Globe.
Okay.
We know who the good guys are, we know who the bad guys are, and we know why we're here. To see Jean-Claude Van Damme get pushed around till he can't take it anymore, then furrow his cute Belgian brow, then kung fu the other guy into a sack full of spare parts. And at that point, I think, easy, Betsy. Reel it in, sister. This is the best
when you're a movie writer, you're a reviewer, you must relish this occasion when you can just
she is
bust out.
She's real thirsty.
Just bust
real
out the
thirsty for
superlatives.
Jean-Claude. Yeah. She closes it by saying, "This is the best prison movie in quite a while, and Jean-Claude's best picture since Bloodsport." I think she's being overly familiar by referring to him as Jean-Claude, but hey, she's already kind of just really, really thirsty.
But he gets his shirt ripped off twice in this movie.
Oh, it's hilarious. So I think both times my note says, "This one's for all the ladies out there."
Yeah, so she's definitely feeling the moment.
So she loved it. Here we got Kevin Thomas, LA Times.
Okay.
Death Warrant, in which martial arts star Jean-Claude Van Damme plays a cop who goes undercover in a prison to investigate a series of mysterious murders, succeeds on all counts. It's a shrewd, cohesive action picture.
I don't know if I'd say that. I don't know if I'd go that far.
That not only shows Van Damme to his best advantage, but also reveals the ingenuity of its makers. Now, I threw this one in the mix because it's sort of like, hey, everybody, it's a fucking prison kung fu movie. What do you want? And it's fair. And the last one, Vinnie Canby, New York Times.
Oh, good.
Death Warrant addresses a question that very few people have probably ever asked. How does a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police go undercover? All of the performances are terrible, but Joseph Porro's costume design is arresting.
Oh.
Mr. Van Damme and the other prisoners look as if they had been outfitted by an upscale outlet of the Banana Republic type. Vincent Canby did not care for this film.
Oh, boy.
But I added that one because it does highlight my favorite part of the movie. The fact that he is a Mountie going undercover in an American prison.
I love that because...
all of that just to explain his accent, and you don't even need to do it.
I know. They didn't have to do it. They did not have to
you know
do
what?
it. Because there are times...
You can be a cop and still be an immigrant. You can be both of those things.
They've been doing it with Schwarzenegger for years, and nobody ever thought, maybe we ought to explain this accent of his. They're like, nah.
By way of the most fucking bonkers explanation. Like, why are you... He's not even an American law enforcement.
That reeks of producer note. Like, somebody was like, we need to explain the accent, and that you know that the people on set were like, fucking seriously?
And whoever said that has clearly never met a French Canadian person because he does not sound French Canadian in the slightest.
No. Oh, boy. No.
I mean, that first one really takes the cake there. But,
great shit.
Oh, she loves it. Oh, she loves this movie, Betsy.
Yep. All right, so let's do it.
All right.
We're going to open on the dangerous streets of downtown LA by night. Louis Burke, an RCMP cop, is lurking outside of a burnt-out apartment building looking for the man who killed his partner.
Louis Burke.
So the boys at the station tell him to wait for backup, but he's a renegade, you see. Renegades don't wait for backup.
Yeah, we have procedures here. This isn't like loosey-goosey Canada where just any schmuck on the street can solve crimes.
Yep. But before he can get much further, he's set upon by 3 Mexican toughs who want to teach him a lesson. But he quickly whips the crap out of them and heads into the building.
Wearing a tapered white slack, I might add. And I bring this up because for someone with large thighs and glutes, a tapered pant is not the right look.
Yeah. Oh, his fashion, like leading up to the prison, it's like...
Oh, yeah.
We're going...
I got more. Don't worry about it.
Going with that suit, are we, Burke? Yeah. So inside the broken down apartment building, he finds the body of a dead woman, some spooky shit hanging here and there, and then in a closet he finds a creepy ass baby doll with blood on it. And then he's suddenly attacked by a crazy guy in his pajamas.
You know, just like normal Los Angeles stuff.
Yeah. Yep. They struggle a bit. You know, I have been in Los Angeles. A crazy guy with patchy hair in his pajamas on the street. It's nothing unusual about that. Yep.
I got 6 of those right outside my apartment right now.
So they struggle a bit. Louis shoots him, but the bullets don't stop him. He announces that he's the Sandman and you can't stop him. But then he shoots him a bunch more, and it seems to stop him.
And then I thought, he's going to, come on, throw the quippy line. And what does he do? He throws a quippy line.
Yep. If we've learned anything from Arnold Schwarzenegger, is always throw the quippy line.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So 16 months later, for some fucking reason, he's summoned back to the LAPD in a sharp suit. Set to some...
I think this suit is the most 90s thing I have ever seen.
It is. The cut of the suit with the shoulder pads makes him look like David Byrne in the Burning Down the House video.
Oh, I would say David Byrne by way of the I Want to Sex You Up video.
It is.
Remember that song?
It's a very like Chess King couture.
Yeah, where everyone had like really fucking tight, sharp lines for their beard stubble.
Yep. Pleats out the ass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. And of course, it wouldn't, like, speaking of Color Me Bad, we're set to some smooth 90s funk as we dolly up on him.
Yeah, he's either there to solve crimes or start singing some real soft white guy R&B, which I think might be one of the worst eras for American music.
That was a dark period for pop music for sure.
Yeah. When it's all like third bass and shit.
Hey, ease off on the third base, man. There. So in a wood, if you want to pick on anybody, this was the high age of Vanilla Ice.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So in a wood-paneled meeting room, he meets with some people from the Department of Corrections. They got a problem in one of their jails.
What I love about this scene is it's just him walking into the police precinct and just like high-fiving and fucking slapping, like it's just doing like cool guy handshakes with all of what appears to be just the black officers.
Oh yeah, he is down with the brothers in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, they got a problem in one of their jails. Lots of inmates are being killed there. 9 in the last few months. Ordinarily,
And he says it's the assistant warden of a small town prison was murdered. I don't. That never really comes back.
okay. Also, this is going
Los
to
Angeles is not a small town.
no. And the thing is this is a very very light, gentle setup for a subplot that's going to come back like way deep into the movie and then go absolutely fucking nowhere.
Yeah, because they've got other shit they need to bring back and throw at you for no particular reason.
Yeah. So, ordinarily these murders wouldn't matter, them being prisoners and all that. But an assistant warden was also killed recently, and it's bad for politics. So they're sending.
Now, the thing about this is they say we're bringing in this officer. I think people are often very confused about what the RCMP actually is.
Oh, sure.
I don't know.
When you think of the Mounties, you think of the guys on a fucking horse in the red suits. But you don't
they are
really
the
know what.
FBI.
Yeah, it's the fucking FBI for Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I that would be like someone in Toronto being like, we need someone to go undercover. How about an FBI agent from the United States?
give me the CIA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're sending Burke in to investigate. And the thing that kind of catches me immediately is there are vastly easier ways to do this sort of investigation, in official channels. But I guess we wouldn't have this movie if we did it the right way.
And so they give him his backstory and they say, all right, what are you in for? And he says, armed robbery, because armed robbery is a respectable crime in prison. What the fuck are you talking about?
Because of its implied violence. That is why it's respectable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very like sort of reactionary politics writes a movie.
Yeah. You gotta get in there. You gotta sidle up to those MS-13 guys so they won't throw their fentanyl at you. So let them know you're in armed robbery.
That's right.
So Also, it's this wood paneled room full of just like bald white guys who are just like.
Yeah, they don't understand him like the brothers out in the main area do.
No, and so they introduce him to his liaison. This was brand new lawyer, Amanda Beckett. She's going to pose as his wife while he's on the inside.
And this is going to be the most offensive part of the film, I think. It's really hard to pick just one.
This is a movie where the N-word is uttered several times, too.
But I think it's fair to say ladies don't come out looking good in this movie. Because he automatically is suspicious of her because she's only been out of law school for 1 year and she doesn't have what it takes to be on this case. Now, how he could possibly know that, I don't know, since he doesn't know anything about the case and he's from another country. Where they're not exactly trained on the procedures of the U.S.
You're forgetting about one key detail about this person. She's a lady.
Yep,
she don't got what it takes. She doesn't got the stones to deal with the inside.
But then she comes back with a hot feminist flex. And he thinks, okay, you're a fiery one.
Yep.
Maybe you are up for it.
And then it just starts fucking pouring in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And then she walks for like a good 10 steps, turns around, stares at him for another 6 beats, and then finally just says, "You're getting wet."
Ooh.
And then walks away.
Ooh, the smolder. The smolder.
That's what you call flirting.
This is a meet cute.
Yeah.
The clumsiest meet cute in the world.
You see what feminism has really robbed us of in the 21st century? You can't even ask someone how they're doing anymore.
Nope, can't because of woke. So shortly after, Lewis is rolled into prison in the prison bus. That's your average yard scene with all the guys in the yard coming over to intimidate the new guys.
I would actually say it is not your average yard scene because one of them has like those real early 90s cool guy shades on. And I thought, why is he allowed to wear those?
Oh, he's going to lose them immediately.
There's a lot of shit that is very, very much not allowed in prisons.
Yep. So the warden rolls in with his goons to orient the new guys. There's some kind of power game going on where he cracks peanut shells in his hand. And when one of the guys goes to pick up the shells for some reason, he whacks him over the head with his teeny tiny little nightstick while the guards cackle. I don't know why that thing makes me as uncomfortable as it does. It's just...
Because it's silly. Looking.
It's ridiculous.
Because,
like, it looks like they got it out of like a Spirit Halloween costume for an 8-year-old.
And because Bottom Shelf Fred Ward is a larger man, and so it just makes it look even smaller and more ridiculous.
Yep, his portly nature is going to come in for one of the movie's best one-liners later. So then he tries this again on Burke, but guess who's not taking the bait? He's nobody's fool.
That's right. He's real cool under pressure.
Yep.
Now, my question is, they're taking the long way around to explain the accent. They're giving him a long backstory. They don't bother to change his name.
Nope.
Nope.
No, because who knows this guy? He's a Mountie. Nobody in this prison's going to know who he is.
That's true.
Yep.
What I also love is that, and I don't know if this is because he's a Mountie or just because they want to he's playing it real cool, is that he's a cop. He knows, he presumably would know a thing or two about street culture or prison culture. And yet he chooses this kind of aw shucks persona that is so strange right out the gate.
Immediately, right off the bat, he's trying to endear himself to this rando guy who he is, for some reason, pointed out as the dude who knows everything inside.
Yeah, he's just sort of like, hey, I'm here, you're here, maybe we'll be good friends together.
Yeah.
Like he has like a real like Tommy Wiseau kind of like, hey, it's me.
Yeah. So in the prison infirmary, we learn a little fact that'll probably be useful for later. Lewis has AB type blood. Yep. So Burke is then issued his bedding, his cell number, and ID by Hawkins, the prison old timer with a dead eye. He tries to
Robert Guillaume.
Yep, Robert Guillaume tries to chat him up, but he gets nothing. So
because Robert Guillaume knows what movie he's in.
You're right.
And he's taking this shit seriously.
He is.
I don't know if he should be, but he is.
I appreciate his effort. Mm-hmm. So in his cell, he meets his cellmate, a weird dude in a leather vest, who immediately tries to put the squeeze on him. But he learns the hard way that Lewis Burke is not a man to be trifled with. And
yeah, now here's the weird thing about this character. Because we will later, I guess, supposed to be endeared to him. And yet, when we meet him, he is threatening to rape Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
So we can extrapolate from this scenario that he is a rapist of some kind.
Yeah. I mean...
And yet...
yeah. It's all in the vest, really. So
that's true. That's true. He does. They get a lot of leeway with the clothing.
They do. Yep. In the lunch line... Burke again tries to chat up Hawkins, who keeps his nose clean, doesn't talk to anybody, especially nosy new guys. But before they can say much, another seriously racist Mexican gangster stereotype grabs Hawkins, pressing a plastic fork to his neck, causing Burke to fuck him up. Yep. So at this point, he keeps calling him S.A., which you used to hear all the time in anything where Mexican gangsters were around, or if you were listening to Cypress Hill. Yeah, but it struck me that I've heard it a lot, but I don't really know what it actually means, so I looked it up. And it seems to be one of those things where the true meaning is so obscure and removed from its origins that nobody really knows. Colloquially, it just means like bro, but practically...
Yeah, it's like a homeboy.
Yeah, but
same thing.
Practically speaking, it's just a word that white people have heard in other movies, and they just use it a lot. It's believed by some that because it's the Spanish letter S, it refers to sureños, which are Southerners, which refers to Southern California gangsters around L.A. and San Diego. Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That's the most you're going to learn from this episode.
Yep. It's a history lesson, baby. Puto means fucker, by the way.
Yeah.
So the fight is broken up by the warden, whose very presence causes the raucous room to go silent. Once again, Burke tries to get close to Hawkins, who tells him to fuck off. Sit with the white people.
And my note says, don't sit with them. They're Nazis.
Those guys are creeps. Holy shit. One of whom has the names of people he's killed tattooed on his head.
Yeah, like a Stephen King villain.
Yeah.
Like something out of a goddamn comic book.
Yeah. The way he's got that weird like wedge hair thing going on that makes me think of like a Jack Kirby comic book character.
Yeah. Also, because there's no fucking way anyone in prison did that. Like that requires someone who knows how to cut hair.
Yeah. So that night, Lewis and his cellie, the guy, his name is Konefki. They drink nasty ass toilet wine.
Cheer
Not
wine.
cheer
yeah.
wine. It's not cheer wine.
100% cheer
Not cheer wine.
They made it themselves in the toilet.
They chat a bit. Lewis mentions that people are getting killed in there, tries to get some information, but Konefki recommends that he keep his mouth shut, not get involved. So now Amanda comes to visit him, and she tells...
Showing up looking like she's coming straight from the district attorney's
I know.
office.
I was going to say, she looks like Agent Dana Scully.
Yep, and he's a real dick about it.
He really is. Yeah, so he is like convinced that like a serial killer is involved in this, and he just won't let it go. She tells him that nobody on the inside seems to be in for such a crime. All the deaths feature the same sort of method, though, puncture wounds to the back of the neck. And then he also needs her to get him some cash in order to get people talking inside.
And then he says, "You did good." And I thought, well, she didn't do anything. What do you mean she did good?
Yeah, but she impressed him. That's the important part.
Well, for a lady.
She's growing on him.
Yeah, that's going to become evident.
Yep. So Lewis is now mopping up the laundry room when he's cornered again by our Mexican stereotype. And this time he brought friends. It's the one and only Al Leong, the most recognizable stuntman from the 80s and 90s.
Who was also a member of the Wing Kong gang.
Yes. Well, this guy should...
I believe he was also Genghis Khan from Bill and
Oh,
Ted.
yeah. I got a fucking credits list for your ass. So, yeah.
Those are the only two things I remember him
He's
from.
in Die Hard. He's in Big Trouble in Little China. He's
that's
in
right.
They Live. He's in Lethal Weapon. He's in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. The dude is in fucking everything. And when you see him, you're like, he's got that fucking mustache and the receding hairline, and you know shit is about to go down when Al Leong shows up.
I am a little I don't know what the word is. That they needed someone who had some martial arts skills, and the guy they pick is Asian.
Sure. I don't really actually know what his background is, like how he got into this stuff. He is a very accomplished martial artist, and karate and like all that shit being very still very exotic in the 80s and even into the 90s a little bit. Like having somebody who knew what they were doing right off the bat, who didn't have to be fucking trained, probably went a long way. Kind of like how martial artists in Hong Kong.
Look, he could have got John Saxon.
Martial artists in Hong Kong tend to get hired more than just like straight up actors, because like you don't gotta fucking train them too hard to get the choreography right. So like there's an economy in that, but he's got such a distinct look. Like whenever he shows up, I'm like, fuck yes, Al Leong's in the show. This is gonna be great.
It doesn't last long.
Nope, they try to jump him, but Lewis breaks the mop handle, handily whips their asses.
He says, yeah, this is of the guy from the Wing Kong gang. He says he likes to kick the shit out of white trash like you. And I thought, what about Jean-Claude Van Damme says white trash? Nothing.
Nope.
Not a thing.
So back in the cell, Lewis finds some illicit cash stuffed into a book smuggled in by Amanda, takes it over to the black cell block, strolls right into Hawkins' cell where he's busily smoking weed and making shot ammo for what you might call Chekhov's zip guns.
Yeah, and this is where the whole prison starts to really feel like Shredder's gang hideout from the first Ninja Turtles movie.
There's loud, like, funky music playing. There's dudes just sitting around, like, smoking, like, counting money and shit.
Yeah, it's like, what if instead of all of New York, Escape from New York just took place in a prison?
Basically.
It's that. It's like everybody's got a faction, and nobody's minded the store.
Especially when we get to Priest's lair. Like, he seems to have a whole fucking section of the prison to himself and his ladies.
Yeah.
So, Lewis reveals that someone in prison killed his friend who was in jail, I guess. This whole buddy thing.
This cover story.
This cover story is a cover story that I did not realize is a cover story. Because
Yeah,
right
because they don't really make it very
right
clear.
from the jump, like the whole reason that he's obsessed with the Sandman is he killed my partner, man. Like that whole thing. So I thought,
No, you got to set the Sandman part aside for now.
I know.
We'll come back to that, but that has nothing to do with the story now, which is weird since it's the way you start the fucking movie.
yeah, but that's the whole thing. Is like I'm like, what friend? Who is this fucking guy? He's trying to learn about.
And he's just the last guy who got killed.
Yeah. Yeah. So Hawkins tells him to go see the priest if he wants information. Konefsky takes him down to the lower depths of the prison, which is some sort of den of iniquity full of ladyboys.
Yeah, it looks very much like Blade Runner.
Yep.
And I would describe everybody as, if you've ever seen early Big Frida videos, it kind of looks like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And
But like in Blade Runner.
right. Cyberpunk Big Frida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, there's also a weird dude with weird eyes and no eyebrows named Priest who kind of oversees.
Yeah,
all
my
that.
note says, "Oh my God, Priest! Oh my God."
He's the shit. He's like my favorite fucking character. He is the most outrageous.
I want a Priest sequel. I want to know everything about that. I want the rest of the movie to be about. Priest.
Give me 2 prequels. I want to know how he achieved this status and how he ended up there in the first place. Because this dude's got the hookup for everything.
Like Jean-Claude Van Damme rolls in, and Priest is basically just smoking opium with his lady friends.
Got gauzy like drapes all over the place. He's got like 15 ladyboys hanging around.
Yeah, and they all kind of look like the woman that Arsenio Hall plays in Coming to America. When she's like, "I would eat you alive." They all look a little bit like that.
Yeah. Lewis pays him off for some.
And they've all got cell phones for some reason.
Oh yeah, man, that's the thing. Priest's got the hookup. Anything you need, he can get you. So
and they never explain it ever.
No, it's just he's a trope. He's that guy in jail who can get you anything. They just like shaved off his eyebrows and made him a weirdo to kind of make him memorable.
But he's like that guy to the nth degree.
Oh yeah. Anything you
What
need.
I will say though is, so there is. It's 1990, so you gotta have some flexibility here. But there's the implication that at least some of these people are trans women.
Yeah.
And the movie could, and under normal circumstances probably would, take a real hard homophobic run at this and transphobic run at this, and they don't.
They're actually in a movie full of bad guys. I would actually consider them kind of the good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is weird that they don't take a swing, because weaker filmmakers would have turned this into a freak show.
Yeah. And it's bizarre, but it's bizarre in a very compelling way where you're like, say more, Priest.
Yeah.
And Priest's lady friends.
Yeah. And the thing, the reach that this character has gives me the impression, like, if you got the money, this dude could orchestrate a prison break for you. Like, he is that omnipotent. It's so fucking great. And later on, he's going to have a really great hat.
And he would take you to the door, escort you out, and then just go back inside the prison house.
Yep. He's got it going on. Got everything he needs in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Love it.
So, as Lewis does some more prison mopping near the infirmary, there's an accident where some jugs seemingly full of blood just spills all over the place. The guard remarks that it's medical waste, so put a pin in that. Yeah. Chats up Meyerson, his friend's former cellarmate, tells him that his friend never got up to anything.
Oh, this is Larry Hankin.
Larry Hankin. Yeah, we never got up to anything bad while he was in, but then he clams up. Lewis grabs him.
And Larry Hankin works in the pharmacy.
Right.
Now, I have not spent a lot of time in prison. I have visited them many times for my previous job.
I would imagine that they're not
profession.
putting inmates in charge of.
They do not.
In charge of drugs.
They do not let inmates do most things.
Yeah.
This is not. What's that one? The Stephen King one where he's like the fucking accountant for the.
Oh yeah,
the prison.
Shawshank Redemption.
Nope. Doesn't work like that at all. They mop the floors and they do the fucking laundry, and that's about it.
Yeah. So Lewis grabs him through the bars, threatens him with a cup of piss, and he gives it up that the guards are somehow involved in whatever's going on there. And so now Lewis calls Amanda. She tells him what she learned, then goes back, tells Priest that he needs a key to the records room, which he can get.
I'm surprised he never says "good girl." Doesn't it seem like the kind of thing he would say?
Oh, yeah.
He'd say good.
Oh, some real patronizing shit.
Yeah.
I know. With missed opportunity to be sexist.
Yeah.
So Hawkinson sneaks him in, distracts the guard so Lewis can make a break for the records room.
Yeah, he gives the guard the old get the guard to try the pruno trick. Classic stuff.
Yep. So he shuffles through the records, finds a file on his friend, finds some sort of notation that identifies the guy as SL, which we'll find out about later, or maybe we won't. It's really kind of dank.
It doesn't even really matter.
I
To be
know,
honest
the
with
whole
you.
shit's really kind of opaque. Doesn't fucking matter. Closing the file cabinet makes a loud squeaking sound, which alerts the guard. Guard bursts in, but finds the room empty. Lewis is hiding in the rafters above. There's a tense moment where a cut on his arm drips blood on the table below, which almost gives him away if it weren't for Hawkins' quick thinking. Yeah. So Lewis tells Amanda about the notation, hooks her up with his hacker friend Josh Miller, who is incredibly aggressive with her sexually.
Standard nerds.
Oh yeah, he's
sloppy computer nerd. Check.
Yep. It really into this chick inappropriately. Check. Really into Star Trek. Check.
Yeah, I mean, he literally has a line where he says, "Shit, I'm missing Star Trek." He has a slight like speech impediment lisp, but I think that's because Joshua Miller has one or had one.
Yeah.
But it just sort of lends itself to the character. The implication is that he's a teenager.
Yeah. He's supposed to be like 16, I think.
And he probably is a teenager in the movie too. Like he has like acne, he looks greasy. But he is just like real classic stuff.
Oh yeah. They know who they're dealing with. He knows computer stuff. Of course he's a dork.
And he's great.
And he is great.
I mean, I know we've said unkind things about him in the past. That's because he was ubiquitous in the 80s and he was always kind of a little obnoxious. But that's mostly because of Near Dark.
Yeah.
He redeems himself in this.
Yep.
He's also not great in River's Edge.
No. So they do some magical computer bullshit to dig up whatever SL might mean, and it matches with the word sleep. There's a whole like Morpheus, sleep, Sandman thing that makes me think that the Sandman subplot was supposed to be much bigger than it ends up being.
Yeah, because it's real tacked on at the end.
Right. Like, and again, who fucking cares? It's a whole thing. Not really worth explaining. Back in the prison, Meyerson, the infirmary guy, gives Lewis the infirmary keys that he lifted. He also tells us that another guy got killed the night before. And then later, one of Priest's ladies tips off Lewis that someone might try and kill him tonight.
And these people are all just creeping around this prison. Like nobody fucking works there.
Right.
They're like
right.
just hanging out in the stairwells. It's like, no. You don't get to do that there. You're not allowed there.
Yeah. So Lewis's hacker cracks the prison password. Morpheus. Lots of stuff in here about sleeping, as I said.
And it's like some real 80s like hacking, quote unquote.
Yeah. Right. It's stupid. Who cares? As they try to get the information behind the password, they find the data is being destroyed inside the prison. So they print it out, and it's some crazy medical data and blood types.
They print it out like it's like one of those dot matrix printers.
Like super loud printers.
Yeah.
So Amanda calls Lewis to let him know what she found. Totally buries the lead when she tells him last that his number is last on the list, indicating that he's next to get killed.
That's right.
Yeah. So that night, the two goons from the mess hall sneak in, grab Konefsky, while the other guy stabs the shit out of Lewis's bunk, but he faked him out. He's under the bed, slips out in time to whip the shit out of him, but it looks like it might be curtains for Konefsky.
Yeah, not soon enough.
Nope.
It seems.
So now the guards...
Your rapist friend has been murdered.
Yeah. The guards then throw Lewis in solitary, where the warden beats him up a little bit.
Yeah, and then he says, strip him. And that's where my note says, all right, this one's for the ladies.
Yep. Then the goons go down to Priest's lady friend, and it's implied that they kill her with some sort of ice pick weapon.
Don't care for that.
Nope. Then they deal with Meyerson, splashing him down with gas, and they set him on fire.
Now, a couple of things here. First of all, smoking in bed is never a good idea.
No, also, where the fuck are they getting gas in a prison?
That's my second question. My third question is, couldn't you have just thrown the gas in his face instead of siphoning it?
I was gonna say that
too.
too.
Spitting it at
Just
him?
or where the fuck is he gonna go? Just tip the shit over and let it spill into his room.
Yeah.
I don't know. So Amanda comes in to visit Lewis, and she's assaulted sexually by the warden and his head goon.
And my other note says that apparently this disgusting scene is for the dudes.
Oh, no.
It's really, really fucking terrible.
It is pretty terrible. Then she's taken to the trailers where they do the conjugal visits, and she gives Burke the rundown of all the information that she gained about the prison doctor, the doctor with a German name, Dr. Gottesman, who went to medical school in South America, you know, where all those Germans fled to after World War II. And then Lewis puts the move on her, which she readily succumbs to.
But the weird thing about this scene, we all knew where it was going because it's 1990.
Yeah.
And she's a lady.
They have zero fucking chemistry, and there is no fucking setup for any of this. You know where it's going because it's a guy's movie, but like even when it happens, I'm just like, what? Why? Like, what is happening? I know why they're doing this, but like, it's the clumsiest shit in the world.
So I have two thoughts. My first thought is if it was two guys, I would still be horrified by this. But that's not my real point. My point is that she is, the whole time, she has just been violated by the guards. And everything about her body language in this scene says, please back up.
She is
she
avoiding
is constantly
him.
turning away from him. She's stepping away. She's like walking. And he is fucking on her the whole time, like breathing down her neck, almost literally. And everything about this is like, dude, she is not into you. And he is relentless.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Like
she is into him.
Yeah. Yeah. It is unbelievable in every possible way.
I know.
Because my next scene says, what the hell is happening? Why are they having sex? They work together and barely know each other.
Yep. So later on, Hawkins and Priest arrange for a distraction in the form of an exploding garbage can so that Burke can bust into the morgue.
This was the first time I laughed hysterically because it was like, Burke needs a distraction. How about a bomb?
Yep.
The security in this prison is insanely lax.
Yeah. They saw through the chains on the refrigerator, find a human heart in the medical waste bins. So sometime later, the cell block goes nuts with enthusiasm for the new arrival. It's the Sandman, who immediately clocks Lewis.
Who'd have thought?
Yep. Later on, in an annoying slow-mo scene where some inmates chain him up in the shower, the Sandman menaces him with a knife, telling him that...
And says, what is this? But he says something.
He says, you know what they hate?
Oh, no. You're missing the best catchphrase.
Okay, give me it.
Bring me a dream, Burke.
Oh, God, that's
Bring
right.
me a dream. And it's like the entire script was written with just
for
that
moment.
catchphrase in mind.
Yep. Sandman menaces him with a knife, telling that everybody in the prison's going to know he's a cop soon. Yep. So when the guards bring him back to his cell, everybody in the block knows he's a cop.
And one of them says, and the only reason I know that he says this is because I have the closed captions on because I am an elderly person. One of them says, I'm going to rip your ass off. We got him by the ass.
That's so beautiful. Outside at some society party, Amanda hurriedly explains to her boss that the head of prisons, who is a part of the investigation, has been a part of the plot the whole time, and that she learns the hard way that her boss is also in on it.
But there's a twist.
And they had the Sandman transferred to the prison to deal with Lewis.
This is where the movie goes off the rails. It just careens right off the rails in the most spectacular way.
This is the movie equivalent of Wile E. Coyote running off of a cliff and not realizing that it happened.
Yeah.
Because this subplot was set up this feels like an afterthought because
this feels like two different movies just smooshed together and someone's just making them kiss.
It makes no fucking sense. Why? Okay, so these guys are heads of this body part smuggling ring that they're pulling out of a prison.
Yeah, also $10 says that this whole movie plot is somewhere in the pages of Project 2025.
Probably. But I'm still trying to work this out. Like, why? Okay, so they bring Louis Burke in to investigate a crime that they are the perpetrators of?
Yeah. Well,
why?
They don't know that. They don't know that. So the way it works is he's the governor, the mayor.
I don't know.
Some
like a deputy mayor or something.
A big cheese. His wife was dying.
Right.
And he made a deal with this Nazi doctor
Yep.
to, I guess, find her a liver or some shit. And so the Nazi doctor was like, yeah, but we could make a lot of money if we just kept doing this. And so he was like, okay, I'll install you in this prison where you can keep doing this because who cares about these people, right?
Right.
And I guess then somebody dies, but the other people don't know that the big cheese is involved. And so he's like, all right, I can't just like say we're not going to investigate it. He's a warden. We gotta try.
Okay.
So I'm gonna put this guy in, and then he will just get killed. Now, why they wanted a Canadian, it makes no fucking sense at all. And then when he doesn't,
they consider Canadians less than people.
I guess so. Then when it doesn't work because he's Jean-Claude Van Damme, then he has to go back and get the serial killer from the beginning, who we all thought was dead,
Yeah.
and put him back because I guess you'd think that the guy who caught him the first time, I guess, couldn't do it again or something. I don't know.
What are the chances?
That's where we're at now. That's where this movie is.
That took a lot of fucking work to explain.
And he's holding what's-her-face from the Fame TV show. He's holding her at gunpoint, and he's like, I hate to have... Like, what are you going to shoot her at this fucking garden party with all your friends around? And then his wife walks in, and she's like, tell her what you did, you bastard. And he's got a gun pointed at her, and then she just storms out.
Yeah.
It is the weirdest, most Melrose Place way to transition out of this scene I could possibly come up with.
Correct. Yeah. And then there is no follow-up whatsoever on this. None whatsoever. No. So, yeah, back in prison, Burke sets up an electrical trap on the bars when the warden's head goon comes to yuck it up about the Sandman coming to get him tonight.
This is the second part I laughed really
I also laughed out loud at this. He tricks the guy into grabbing the bars and he lights him up. Mm-hmm. So when the guard falls, Lewis grabs the keys and he makes his escape. But the Sandman is also out and about, and he opens every cell in the place, staging a riot where everybody has their eyes set on Lewis.
The slowest moving riot you've ever seen, because there's so many of them, and they're obviously filming in what I guess was probably a real prison at one point. And there are just too many people in the hallway, so they can't move fast. So everyone's just sort of like, it's like when all of the classes in high school get out at once, and everyone just kind of slowly moving down in one direction. So it's like, but they're yelling and like throwing papers and shit.
Yep, adequate. Yeah. So the warden takes Burke into a side room, locks the rest of the criminals out of the main building. They're about to kill him. The door blasts in, and Priest and Hawkins step in with Chekhov's zip gun.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Lewis whips the crap out of the goon who tried to kill him in his bunk. They make their escape. Then they take a beat for some banter where when the other prison goon, the guy with the murder names on his head, busts in, beats everybody up with a dumbbell. But Lewis turns the table, beats him to death with a dumbbell instead.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. So meanwhile, the evil doctor, who hasn't really had any screen time, finds himself cornered by a bunch of inmates who mean to do him harm.
Now, why? Who knows? Because they're just animals.
Yep. I wonder how much of this was inspired by the New Mexico prison riot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that the one where they were like parading people's heads around on a fucking pole?
Yeah.
Go ahead and look that one up, everybody. It's really shocking.
Or don't. If you want to like sleep well tonight, don't look that one up. That one is
truly horrific.
One of them, an absolute fucking horror movie that took place over, I believe, 3 days, which is as bad as the way. I can't think of anything fucking worse than that. Meanwhile, let's see. Lewis, Priest, and Hawkins are about to exit the elevator when Hawkins takes one in the chest from a prison with yet another zip gun. Yep. It had to happen, but, I felt it.
Because you love him.
You love him.
You love him.
Yeah. Too injured to go on. He tells him to leave him behind. Leave him in the kitchen. They take off. Seconds later, the warden busts in looking for Lewis, but he finds Hawkins.
Wait, I thought it was bottom shelf Fred Ward who comes in.
Yeah. I keep calling him Warden.
Is he the warden?
I don't think so. I keep calling him that, but That's kind of his sort of position, at least in my head. But
And then
Hawkins,
they throw in a little bit of light racism.
just a little.
Just so you know, murder's bad.
Yep. But he finds Hawkins hiding, and looks like he's about to kill him. He says, "Go fuck yourself, you pudgy bastard."
Love it.
I love it.
So good.
Yep. Priest gets the drop on the warden though, shoots him dead.
And that's why we need a fucking movie about Priest.
I'm telling you. So Priest and Burke go back on the run. They sneak around through some part of the prison that's all moody lighting, catwalks, and steam pipes. Mm-hmm. They duck a pipe.
It's 1990, but we'll consider this the high 80s when steam pipes are having their day.
Yep.
Boiler rooms. This whole ending scene feels like it was pulled right out of Resident Evil.
Or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
So they duck a pipe just in time for Priest to catch an axe in the chest.
Oh.
Yep. As they run into their boss fight with Sandman.
Now,
So bummed. I'm so bummed when this happened.
Because the best. He's the best character in, I'm going to say, any movie from 1990. and possibly years later and before.
Hard agree.
Now, did you play Resident Evil 4?
Yes, but I don't really remember it.
So
I played it when it first came out.
You'll have to fight. I have played it on every fucking console because they just keep putting it out for everything. You have to fight a guy. I can't remember. Krieger, something like that. And he just, for inexplicable reasons, kind of bamfs in and out of scenes as he's kung fu fighting you with his knife and also shooting at you with a sniper rifle. It is essentially this moment where like he just keeps popping into the scene, making some comment, kicking you in the chest, and then bamf out of the scene again. That is what happens from here on in this movie.
Yep.
It is Resident Evil 4.
So yeah, Lewis gets his bearings. Sandman is gone, but he taunts him from the shadows. Like an idiot, he gets up and runs towards the voice, leaving behind the very useful axe that is stuck in Priest's chest.
Well, that's because he couldn't bring himself to pull it out of Priest's chest, which I understand. We also get his muscle flex. What are you waiting for?
Oh yeah,
scene.
I got a note about that. That's a little ways on, but yeah, you gotta savor it.
Yeah.
So there's some climbing, running, looking for Sandman. Burke, this is when he flexes his seriously ripped upper body, shouting for Sandman to come and get him, but he's instead struck by a slow-mo flying wrench.
And then pretty great.
Yep. It gives me the feeling that like somebody wanted to use like 3D or something like that because it like comes like slowly flying at the camera.
That's
a great shot.
The only thing that would have made this movie better was 3D.
Yep. Then they fight. It's all rather one-sided as the Sandman kicks the crap out of Burke. He breaks free though, runs around a bit until Sandman fires up some sort of lathe and throws Burke.
What is this? First of all, what is it doing? What is this machine? What is it doing in a prison? And why is it in this part of the prison?
I have no idea. Who even knows what they fucking do in this part of the prison? So yeah, he puts Burke into its path, but he turns the tables. They fight a little more until Sandman throws him off the catwalk onto a landing below.
Well, you forgot he puts Sandman's head in this thing, but Sandman has like a metal plate in his head.
Is that what's going on there?
Yes, because he puts his head. It's like a weird drill-looking thing. There's a
it does nothing to his head.
And but they never really explained it. But he has like a metal plate.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he shot him a bunch of times. I don't think he ever shot him in the head. But you know what? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Nah. That is an actor.
This fight scene is so tedious. It just goes on and on.
Oh my god! I know. In a movie that I otherwise really love, it's a really, really long and drawn out fight that I don't know.
This is where you feel like they were supposed to be probably other special effects that they just didn't have any fucking money for. They were like, I don't know, just keep fighting, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And
then Jean-Claude Van Damme rips his own shirt off. And he's wearing a very true wasted pant.
Sandman rips the shirt off, which I thought is such a great moment. But yeah, prisoners now line the catwalks above, cheering for Sandman as the National Guard arrives outside to quell the riot. But back in the steam room or whatever the
Oh,
fuck
because he
this
kicks
is.
him into the furnace.
Right. They fight. Burke finally getting some shots in. As they're fighting, listen, as a person who knows a thing or two about fighting, put your fucking hands up. Because these guys are just exchanging blows to the head. And it is the most frustrating shit in the world. Put your fucking hands up so you don't get punched in the face, Jean-Claude.
Also, as someone who does not know much about fighting, fights usually last about 30 seconds.
If
This
that.
one goes on for 5 minutes.
If that. This one is
And
like...
it ends with someone being kicked into a furnace.
yeah.
I shouldn't say that it ends there.
It does
actually.
not. No. This is a fight that goes on and on. But yeah, Sandman does get it back, dramatically tears off Burke's tank top so we can really take in the majesty of JCVD's toned upper body physique. I'm going to tell you
Again,
what.
for the
I'll tell you
ladies.
what. Listen, bod like that, you really want to show it off.
Hey, dudes showed up for this movie, but they brought dates with them. You gotta give them something.
You're right. So, like an idiot, Sandman opens up the big furnace and then turns his back on it like to face Berth, setting him up for an obvious conclusion to the fight. And then Burke jump kicks him into the fire, much to the disappointment of the spectators.
Yep.
But just when we think it's over, Sandman leaps out all on fire and shit as the crowd chants his name.
What I would have loved is if when he came out of the furnace, like, bring me a dream, Burke. Very much like the thanks for the ride, lady from Creepshow 2. I was like,
Yeah.
that's what I want.
And so, yeah. But what does he do? He stops, drops, and rolls to put
Yeah.
the fire out. Then he gets back up for some more ass whipping. Then
And
Burke
this is, Jean-Claude kicks the shit out of him.
Yeah, he kicks the Sandman, who falls backward and lands conclusively headfirst onto a protruding bolt end from some sort of machinery.
Which
But
is a way
still-
that I feel like a lot of people die in movies. That seems like a very specific death.
Yeah, yeah. But he's still not done. Still not done. Taunts Burke some more, but Burke grabs him by the head and mashes up his brain on the spike, killing him.
It's fantastic.
It's a great death. It
Now
really
all the homies got yard respect.
is. Right. The crowd, suddenly impressed by his ability to kill the Sandman, parts silently and lets him
They're
through.
like the fucking Red Sea. They just all step aside.
There is a guy in that crowd who I like usual, watched the movie a couple of times. There is a guy who I clocked immediately the first time and looked for him the second time. He's one of the prisoners on the catwalk. He looks like an accountant or like Dennis Rader, BTK, but he's got blood smeared all over his face.
So like Dennis Rader beats the guy.
I guess true to form. So yeah, outside, Burke finds Amanda waiting for him as he
Well,
carries.
but he also has to carry Hawkins out
Has
like,
to
like
carry-
a fucking officer and a gentleman because he is an officer and a gentleman.
Yep, and then Amanda and Burke kiss.
And she shows up. She brings Jonathan Miller Jonathan Miller, is that his name?
Josh Miller.
Josh Miller, whatever his fucking name is. She brings him with her.
They're
He's
like
a
tight.
teenager.
They're like tight bros now. Yeah, definitely want to bring him to the prison riot.
Wow.
Yeah, crane shot away, fade to black, roll
And
credits.
Fiend. Now,
My God.
Does that sound like a movie you want to watch? Probably not. But I
listen,
urge you to watch it.
I hope that we have convinced you that this is a movie you want to see because it is powerfully stupid in the best way possible. It is one of the most fucking fun things I've watched in the last year. Like, I really am glad that we did this because it is unbelievably idiotic.
Well, I'll tell you, we came off of three
Three heavy hitters,
kind of
and,
big and like a real dumb thing. But like, I needed something that was just dopey as shit. And this was perfect because
I'm glad that we came back to 99 Cent Rental with this one because like this really is representative of kind of the spirit of this podcast. Like this is a movie that like none of us went to the movies to see, but like we're definitely catching this shit on video and like seeing it on cable and stuff like that.
I told you I pitched this whole show because I wanted to talk about Bronx Warriors. And there was no way to jam it into the other one.
No. Man, it's fucking fun. It's really, really fun. It's unbelievably moronic. It's
It's an obvious cash grab on like weird propaganda Jean-Claude Van Damme craze. And it is exactly that. Like they set out to do this one thing and they did it. It's dumb as hell. It makes no sense. But hey, I laughed a bunch of times. I've seen it more than once. And we're talking about it 30 years later. So I'd say big fucking success.
Yeah. Goddamn. I don't know what else to say.
Go
It's
see
great.
it. Go
Just-
watch this
just
movie.
watch-
It's got to be somewhere.
Watch Death Warrant tonight. Fucking let us know what you think because oh god, it's fun. It's really fucking fun.
Ah,
Yeah. I guess we could say, does it stand up? Oh, it stands up.
sure does.
Yeah.
It sure does.
So
I mean, it doesn't. It's fucking terrible.
oh, it's terrible. It's
It's
a little
insanely
offensive.
misogynistic.
It's incredibly offensive in many, many ways. Like it really covers the bases. But yeah, bad. What are we talking about next?
Well, like you said, bring me the axe. Next week, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Is it Jekyll or Jekyll?
Ooh, good question. I've always said Jekyll.
Yeah,
but
I think
that
I
this movie
prefer
I think this movie is going to prove us wrong.
Well, I can't do it. I can't say Jekyll. I'm not going to. But then 99 Cent Rental is going to be back in 2 weeks with what is, I'm going to say, arguably our hardest assignment yet.
Oh
And
god,
what is-
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I'm dreading this one a little bit.
You haven't watched it yet, have you?
I have not watched it yet.
Okay. We are going to be talking about the Beaver trilogy. Now, this is a bizarre and utterly fascinating movie that I have loved for a very long time. It's very hard to find. If you can find it, absolutely do. You can get it. What is the guy's name who directed it?
Oh,
The guy
shit,
who made Ruben and Ed.
I can't remember his name.
You can get it. I had to get it directly from him a million years ago, and it's just not like he'll just like send you a fucking DVD-R of it. It's called the Beaver Trilogy. It is very, very strange. It is so captivating and so moving a movie. But it could either be a really great episode or it could be our shortest episode ever. So it's going to be a real toss of the dice.
I love a challenge. So yeah, be back here in a week as Bring Me the Axe comes back with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And
Yep.
we'll be back in 2 with the Beaver trilogy.
And get the fuck out there and vote, goddammit.
God damn it.